Hey folks, my name is Chris at Hauseit, one of the co-founders here based in Miami, Florida. Today we're going to talk about an interesting question that a lot of New Yorkers moving down to South Florida always ask, and that is, do Miami apartments come furnished? The answer is typically yes. Miami has traditionally been more of a vacation city, or perhaps a place that folks go to during the winter, maybe for 6 months at a time, which is one of the most popular rental periods before the pandemic. But now with many people moving down here, things have become a little bit more different. Leases are typically a year now, so to see 6 months is a bit more, I'd say, rare because it's obviously easier for landlords to just keep it rented for the entire year instead of only renting it for 6 months during the winter and then potentially having it be vacant for 6 months during around the summer when it's harder to rent and rents are a bit lower as well. So landlords typically will prefer to rent it for 4 years, and when they do, regardless of whether it's shorter term or longer term, it often does come furnished in Miami. And that is something to get used to, because renting an apartment in New York is quite different. The expectation there is much more often that the apartment comes vacant or unfurnished. You typically have to move around your own furniture, or at least the major pieces of furniture, and it's typically delivered vacant, broom swept, and such. But here, thankfully for tenants and renters, it's much more common due to the previous vacation nature of Miami for units to come furnished. So if you're one of the lucky ones and you're able to move from, for example, New York or the West Coast to South Florida, you may be able to move down here by flying and perhaps mailing a few boxes via FedEx or UPS of your personal belongings, but otherwise flying here with suitcases and moving into a fully furnished South Florida or Miami, Palm Beach apartment or home. And it's very common. Again, this is due to the previous sort of nature of Miami pre-pandemic, before the Great Migration, where lots of folks come down here. They really want it to be a seasonal rental, so hence the 6-month season, which is most commonly from either October or November to April or May. And the rest of the other half of the year, oftentimes the apartments would have been empty. And because people come down here and treat it as a vacation home, at least pre-pandemic, they prefer ease and convenience, which is why these often have traditionally come furnished in South Florida. But what's interesting, as demand has been so great in South Florida with the Great Migration, people moving down here, we've seen instances where because supply and inventory is so low, sometimes the furnished apartments are actually taken up, and sometimes what's remaining are unfurnished apartments, which South Florida landlords are previously unused to renting out that way. So, ironically, just due to the great supply-demand imbalance, landlords, you are starting to see more apartments offered for rent vacant, which is, again, would have been very hard for them to do previously, but you're seeing more of that now simply due to the demand dynamics. And now let's talk a little bit about what to expect as a tenant when you rent an apartment in Miami, South Florida, that is advertised as furnished. Should you believe what's seen in the photos, what you see in the walkthrough? Typically, first of all, when you go to an apartment showing, it's usually vacant. If it's not, then you do definitely need to clarify a bit more about what's there. But if it's vacant, the listing agent or seller's agent would typically tell you, hey, the most common response is everything you see here in the apartment is included, and oftentimes that'll match up with what's in photos as well. But you should always clarify, because it's always good to see in the lease agreement spelled out exactly perhaps what is included, at least the major items, so that when move-in date, at least those items that you counted on being there are going to be there. But again, usually if an agent tells you, hey, what you see here is included, it's a matter of trust as well. It's something you can rely on. If you really want to get granular, of course, you can make sure everything that you've seen and really want to make sure is there is listed in the lease agreement. But typical things that you might expect to see in a furnished Miami or South Florida apartment could be, for example, in the kitchen, it could be utensils, pots, pans, plates, bowls. It could be cups, so like cups, like mugs, wine glasses, flutes and such. It could be even like if it's a printer, they might come with a printer and printer paper. Oftentimes they'll come with, furnishings for the bedroom, such as like the mattress protector, sheets, pillow covers, maybe a comforter and such. It might come with towels and such. It might come with like paper towels, some toilet paper to stock up with, and some dishwasher fluid and rinse aid and stuff to start with. But yeah, and some nicer landlords, it really depends. Sometimes they like to make it, they're just used to having it, treating it more as a vacation home, and they may even have some soaps and such stocked up for the bathroom, nice towels, a little round towels that are there as well. But these are just some examples of things that you can expect. You might also expect to see some useful sort of portable appliances, such as like a vacuum cleaner and such. So they might have a nice vacuum cleaner in there that you can use, hangers and such for the closets. And then, of course, when it comes to furniture, those usually you should try to make sure are listed in the lease agreement, but it's often what you see in the photos and what you see in the showing. So for example, major furniture items like the couches, coffee tables, maybe like dining table chairs, beds, bed frames, mattresses, obviously, any dressers, desks, maybe it's a standing desk, chairs, anything like that. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, most of these apartments really do come quite fully furnished. The level of difference often is in sort of the additional detail that maybe landlords might want to provide in terms of additional accoutrements. But yeah, I mean, it's really quite a pleasant experience if you haven't done it yet to try renting a furnished apartment in South Florida. It's very freeing. You can fly down here, essentially move without having to move furniture. And then, you can take your time finding a more permanent place. And when it comes time to find that more permanent place, we can certainly help you as well. We offer a buyer closing credit program where you can save 2% or more on your purchase, because we give you 2/3 of the buyer agent commission as your buyer's broker, subject to us keeping a minimum of 1%. And that can be quite a bit of money, because sometimes new construction projects here will offer as high as 5 or 6 or 7% to buyer's agents. So 2/3 of that can be quite substantial and can cover more than your closing costs in South Florida. And when it comes time to sell, you can save all 6% in traditional broker commissions with our agent-assisted FSBO listing service. We also have something a bit more hands-on, 1% for full-service listing option, where one of our agents handles everything for you. We cover all of Southeast Florida, including Miami-Dade County, where we're based, Palm Beach, Broward, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. And of course, if you're looking for any of the above services in New York, we cover New York City, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley. My name is Chris at Hauseit, and we'll see you on the next one.